Hello, good evening. Welcome to Cruise Shop Save Life. My name is Melissa Davis. It's a pleasure and an honor that you're here with me tonight. My name is Melissa. I started a website back in March when all this craziness happened, because I've been in the cruise ship industry for 25 years, providing cruise port information, maps, tips, and shopping advice. And I just thought, you know what, let me try and connect to everybody else out there. I've met so many amazing friends and I've interviewed so many amazing people. And tonight is no exception. I have a wonderful guest for you. And without further ado, I have to bring him on straight away. It's Big Bob. How are you?
Good morning from Southern California. It's fabulous. It's 11 o'clock in the morning here. What time is it in London?
Oh gosh, it's 7 p.m. and it's freezing. It's
I understand. It's chilly here. It dropped into the mid 60s, so we're all bundled up.
Okay, well, I'm coming over.
Absolutely.
Over to you. How are you, my love? How's it been?
I am doing so well. I'm having a great time. I am so happy to be on the show here. I really appreciate you taking the time and doing all the work to put this together.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. I have enjoyed doing this show. It's a bit nerve-wracking because, it's just a little bit nerve-wracking in the technology. However, I do use StreamYard, and I know a lot of people have heard of StreamYard, and it's so easy. If I can do it, anybody else could do it.
Right.
And of course, all my wonderful guests, such as yourself, are very, very patient with me.
Well, it is a little nerve-wracking because, we're in front of hundreds of thousands of people live, and then another couple 100,000 who will watch it when it's on the YouTube.
That's true. Well, speaking of YouTube and speaking of where we're streaming on Facebook, and I think I try to change the settings. So if you're watching this on Facebook, if you want to put a comment in the bottom and ask Bob any questions and be my guest, sometimes they usually come through. They're supposed to come through. And I believe I was having a problem with my settings and I tried to change them. So if you're watching right now, say hi. If you're on Facebook, if you're watching this on YouTube, I don't have any problems with YouTube. It's not a problem. But what I'll do is I have my phone here, and every now and again, I will take a peek at my phone to see if anybody's added a comment and we just haven't seen it yet.
Right.
So yeah, we've got quite a few people watching right now, which is excellent, on YouTube, on Facebook, over there.
Excellent. Well, hello, good morning to everyone.
Yes, good morning, everybody. I hope you're all well. Well, I'm saying good morning. It might be afternoon.
It all depends where in the world you are.
It's true, all around.
I know we got a couple of people watching from Hawaii, and I think it's like 8 o'clock in the morning there, earlier, 7. I know.
That's a place I'd like to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, have you done any traveling during the pandemic?
No, I went to the coast and stayed in a caravan, and it was nice. We had nice weather. It was back in June, but we bought this cottage end of 2019, 250-year-old cottage. And actually, Bob, this will be the last time I hopefully broadcast from my bedroom.
Really? Where's the new studio?
Yeah. Well, it's going to be my office, and we're just finishing painting. That's what I've been doing all day. But yeah, we renovated this cottage. You see, we got the original beams.
Right.
I didn't wallpaper whilst we did that. But I know I don't know where to start with you because I'm going to start asking you questions. But let's start with your home improvement because you are sitting where are you sitting right now?
This is the workshop. This is the workshop of the place I've been renovating, and I've been putting in new floors. I'm actually going to put in some drop-down shelving that comes out of the ceiling. Because there's 3 floors here, so between the second and third floor is the kitchen, and I took the ceiling off and the floor joists, so I'm going to be able to build these shelves that come out of the ceiling and they fold down, and they'll have all the dry goods and things like that in it. But I've been doing a lot of stuff as far as home improvement work. I was helping out a buddy of mine. You may know Bruce Gold.
Yeah.
Lives out here in Hollywood as well. And he's the president of his homeowners association. And we had some stuff, we did some stuff over at his place. I got a call from a friend last night, a gentleman named Richard Allen, who does all the music for Paul Boland. And he had a leak that he couldn't figure out in his house. And we tracked it down to basically it was dripping out of the shower, and he set it all up and figured out everything there. So it was excellent. Oh, hello there, to Cruise with Amber.
She's saying hi. She's watching on the YouTube channel, which makes me think the messages are not coming through again on Facebook. But if you're watching this on Facebook, keep watching. We'll just chat for a little longer here, and then I'll take a peek at what you're saying. But this is my friend Steph. I interviewed her last week. She's my new best friend.
It was a wonderful interview because it's Cruise with Amber, but her name's Steph. And once you realize why it's Cruise with Amber, it makes so much more sense. I'm glad she's watching today.
Yeah. It's cool. She's amazing. She has a fantastic website.
Right.
She's introduced me to Clubhouse, and I'm gonna.
I don't know the Clubhouse.
It's a new. I don't know. It's a new. I don't know.
Right. Well, good to have you watching.
So one of the things that you are famous, like you and I go back so far, and I've been doing a little bit of online stalking, and but one of the things that you are famous for, and a lot of people will thank me for, is sharing your very famous Christmas cards.
The Christmas cards were fantastic. They started out as a lark because I all of a sudden took a picture and the people on the ship really liked it, and I'm like, well, this will be a great Christmas card. And it was just me on the beach, and but because at that point I was from Iowa. I went to college in Iowa City, University of Iowa, and from there I went down and started on cruise ships as a disc jockey. And so anyway, took this picture. This is the picture, I don't know if it's the same one you're talking about, but 1986. And I would have been 22 years old. But then after that, the Christmas cards, I would ask the dancers if they would come with, I would rent a Harley in St. Martin. We'd rent a Jeep, and there would be a dancer and a photographer, and then another dancer who was like the person who made sure everything looked good. I don't know what you call it, continuity or something. Mm-hmm. So we'd have these people, we'd go out and take a picture. It was me in a Santa Claus hat, the girl in a Santa Claus hat and a bikini, and the ship in the background. And those pictures made their way around the Caribbean, and many of the jewelers had them hanging on their walls.
Yeah.
I get a lot of grief for them because it was just so much fun. We had such a good time doing that.
Yeah, I remember, and everyone looks so gorgeous. Like, you look fit, brown.
Oh, I know. Well, the funny thing is, I still have that same body. I just try to protect it with a nice layer of fat so that I don't injure anyone. But it's so true. You look at pictures of yourself 30 years ago and go, oh man, wow, it's a whole different world.
I just looked on Facebook, and our good friend Peter Englehart says hi.
Oh, Peter! Good to see you. I'm glad you're watching. How you doing? I hope everything's well.
I know, Peter. We need to catch up.
Absolutely.
In a while. Yes, and so this is so great because obviously, what I'm trying to do is cheer people up, share some positivity, and interview wonderful people like you. So just take us back. How did you start on cruise ships?
When I was in college, I was going to be an engineer because my dad was an engineer. So I really didn't give it a whole lot more thought than that. But during college, I ended up getting a 14% on one of my advanced math classes. And I had to rethink and go, well, who is going to want to have a engineer that only gets 86% of the questions right? So I went back to go, what have I actually enjoyed? And I did an internship at a radio station. I did an internship at ABC TV in Texas. And I decided I could be a disc jockey, and I knew that cruise ships had DJs. So I called up all of the cruise lines, and all of them said, "There's nothing available. Don't waste your time." And I was heartbroken. I'm like, "Oh my goodness! Now what am I going to do?" So I figured one of two things: either the person on the phone doesn't know all the information, or they just want to get me off the phone. Either way, I need to get in front of them in order to try and get a job. So I flew down to Miami, rented a car, drove to all the cruise lines, and I graduated college December of 1985. I flew down to Miami January of 86. I played around for a couple of weeks. Then I rented a car, started driving to the cruise lines, knocking on doors, really, and I was able to get in front of entertainment directors and show them my little college resume and say, "I want to be a disc jockey for your cruise ship." And a couple of weeks later, I got a job as a disc jockey on a ship called the Emerald Seas. And that was 1986. I was a DJ playing music in the Islander Club on the Emerald Seas. So we were doing 3 and 4 day cruises to Nassau, Freeport, and the private island. And the private island was called Coco Cay, and that's what has turned, no, I'm sorry, it was Little Stirrup Cay. NCL's island was right next door called Great Stirrup Cay. And down the road, Royal Caribbean ended up buying the Eastern and Western Cruise Line, which owned the Emerald Seas. They bought the company, which also had the island. They renamed it Coco Cay, and now it's turned into this giant water park, this festival, the Perfect Day at Coco Cay. And it's just really evolved over time. And once I was on the ship, my whole goal was to work until I had some money saved up so that I could get off the ship, get married, get a real job, and do what you're supposed to do. Once I had that amount of money saved up, I kind of had to reevaluate because I've been on the ship a year. I have the money saved up that I wanted to, but then I'm going, I'm 1 year out of college and I have more money in the bank than any of my friends, even though I make 1/3 of what they do, because I don't spend anything. My food's taken care of, my travel's taken care of, and food for me, especially right out of college, was a huge deal. I ate a ton. Anyway, so I decided I'm going to, instead of doing what I'm supposed to do, why not do what I enjoy? So if I'm going to stay on cruise ships, I want to start getting more responsibility, move up the ladder, and that wasn't going to happen at a 1-ship or a 2-ship company. The Eastern Western Cruise Lines had the Emerald Seas and then the Azure Seas, East Coast and West Coast, and they weren't going to. There's no place to move up. So while I was doing my whole interview series to begin with, I talked with a gentleman at Royal Caribbean named Kurt Mackey, who was the entertainment director there. And his quote basically was, "We'd like you, but you have no experience." And so obviously didn't go there. So I went to the Emerald Seas for a year. Then I called up Kurt Mackey and asked him if there was something available. I just did a year on the ship. And they hired me to be the disc jockey on the Song of America, which was the biggest ship in the fleet. At that point, 1987, Royal Caribbean had 4 ships. Northern Prince, Sun Viking, Song of America. That's the Monarch of the Seas. That was the maiden voyage on the Monarch of the Seas in 1988.
Gosh,
well, I wrote a book on my history, and I give a talk on the ships about my history. So I go through everything. So that's the reason I remember the dates.
I have it here. Is this your book?
Yeah, it's called Cruising Through Life. Yes, indeed. And if you want a paperback copy, you can email me, and we can set it up there. And if you want an electronic copy, it's on Amazon, I believe, or whatever the Kindle is, and it's under $10 on the electronic version. But yeah, so I went to the picture you just showed was the Monarch. The first year was Song of America, and I started doing a lot more than just DJ work. I was doing cruise staff. I was running the bingo, the horse racing. I even did a dance class one time. Mm-hmm. And then they learned why a 6'6" white guy really isn't the best to teach dance.
Who's
that? Beth! Oh my my goodness, how are you doing, Beth? Thank you so much. I hope everything's fabulous with you and your family.
Yeah.
Oh, she's so nice. I always love going into Antigua seeing Beth.
Me too.
Fantastic.
Me too.
Just fantastic.
No nonsense, Beth. Tells you how it is. That's Beth.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. I'm gonna enjoy a refreshing beverage and do a little product placement for the Carl's Jr.
Oh, Carl's Jr., yeah. I've got a ton of pictures here, and they're probably not in order, but I'm curious as to what's going on here in this picture. You look so young.
I honestly, it's not coming through on my screen. All I have is a green. Yeah.
You're in this pale blue suit with a yellow T-shirt, and you're shaking hands.
Oh my goodness, with the bartender in a red suit, black guy.
That's right.
Yeah, that was on the Emerald Seas. Really, the best. Oh my goodness, I was so cheesy. First of all, that suit. Remember, this was when Miami Vice was so unbelievably popular.
Oh yeah.
And so I went to this store on that street, Biscayne Bay. This was before the mall was downtown Miami, Bayside, I believe. Anyway, I went and I bought this suit, and that was like my coolest looking outfit. And it's the green leisure suit with the yellow T-shirt. But yeah, the bar waiter, great guy, got along with these guys so well. Yeah. And at that point, it was an all cash system. So the bartenders depended on tips for their living. And me as a DJ, every time I'd do a little announcement and say, don't forget at that point they were all Jamaican and Honduras, just a great set of guys. And it was all men as well at that point. So anyway, the point of it was I would push for the people to leave a tip for the bartenders because they're always working so hard. And because of that, they would give me free drinks. And back then in '86, oh my goodness, right out of college, I was enjoying a beverage or two. So they would take care of me. But yeah, that's the Emerald Seas. I don't know why the picture's not coming through on my on my screen here.
Another one. So you, like I said, me and you go back a long way, and I went to visit you, and it's not a great picture. But you put this on Facebook, but I'm on your Harley with my flip-flops on.
That was in Venice Beach. Yeah, I believe that was 5 years ago. Because it popped 9 years. Oh my goodness, you're right. 9 years ago. Oh, how does that happen? That's just unbelievable. But yeah, that was fantastic. I'm not sure why you were over here, but it was really nice because there was a little hotel near our condo in Venice Beach. Called the something Suites Beach, and it doesn't matter, but it was on the ocean. And believe me, I'm glad you were there then, because now it is just a giant homeless encampment there in Venice Beach.
Really?
Oh, it's disgusting. It's so sad to see, and I feel terrible for the people who bought houses there. Yeah. I mean, it is just surrounded by tent people. So yeah, I'm so much happier to be here in South Pasadena. But yeah, when you were there, it was wonderful. I remember we hopped in the Harley, we scooted around. Yeah. It was great.
So
why, thank you, Steph. It was very funny because that outfit was just yeah. It's what you did.
I love these types of pictures.
This one, I remember, was the Police Benevolent Association. We were sailing out of New York. We were doing New York, Bermuda. And this would have been my first contract as cruise director. The first contract as cruise director was 92 to 94 on the Celebrity Horizon. And the entire ship was chartered by the Police Benevolent Association, and they were fantastic, but active, and man, did they drink. I remember at the pool deck, and this was a planned photo. We told everybody, we're going to do an entire group photo, and if you look in the very middle between the pools, I believe I'm in the turquoise shirt. It was me, my assistant, and somebody else, but but
Oh
it
yeah.
was just an amazing crowd. And this group drank the ship dry out of Coors Light. That's the only beer they would drink. And they would load up a cart with Coors Light, and they would just take a loop around the pool area and be empty. They drank all of the Coors Light. Our 7-day cruise went to Bermuda. We'd stayed in Bermuda for 3 days, and then we come back to New York. We had to go to one of our sister ships and get all of the Coors Light we could from them, as well as we bought up all the Coors Light that was on the island of Bermuda, just so that we could get back to New York without having a mutiny on our hands.
God.
But it was so fun. It wasn't like they were drunk and unruly, not by any means, but they just
have fun.
oh my goodness. It was such a wonderful cruise, yeah.
So you have been to some amazing places though.
Oh yeah. This is one of my favorite shots. I have been through the canal 42 times, and of course you can see the ship that I was sailing on at that point was the Island Princess, and the gentleman on the lock. I'm standing on one of the locks in the Panama Canal, and the gentlemen in front of me are the photographers on the ship. So what we did is we came through the canal west to east. I got off the ship with the photographers very early in the morning, probably 5:30 or 6 o'clock, took a boat ashore, went from there to a helicopter, which flew above, and they took pictures of the ship and video as it went through the canal. And then halfway through, we landed, went back to the canal, and then the photographers would stand on the side, and as the ship would go past through the locks, they would take pictures of everybody on their balconies, and it was just unbelievable. Like I said, at this point, I'd been through 42 times. When this picture was taken, it was probably 30 or 35, but I have always wanted to do the Panama Canal, and I remember my first cruise through the canal was just amazing, because when you approach the canal, it doesn't look like there's any possibility that big old ship is going to fit through that tiny little canal. And then when you get there, I've been through ships where there's 3 or 4 feet on each side, and I've been through on ships where there's 12 inches on each side before the locks. And it is just unbelievable. To this day, when I take a Panama Canal cruise, I still take time to enjoy it, because it truly is one of the 7th wonders of the world. And the fact that now the locks are even bigger is unbelievable. Because I think, don't quote me on this, but say, just for math purposes, before the new locks were built, a container ship could take 40,000 containers through at one time. Now that they've increased the size of the locks to about 1,500 feet long and 150 feet wide, now the biggest container ships can take like 50,000. So 2.5 times as much cargo can go through at one time. And it is just unbelievable. It's really cool. I highly recommend, if you haven't done a Panama Canal cruise, it is something to behold.
He would love it, my husband. It's a great cruise. I mean, even for women, it's a great cruise. And you go to some amazing, it's fascinating and it's beautiful. Really, really fascinating. But this is,
absolutely.
Not only have you been to some amazing places, well, here's another place, actually. Let's hit this one.
Oh, Alaska. This was beautiful. The ship in the background is the Crystal Harmony. And the Crystal Harmony was my second maiden voyage. I did the maiden from San Francisco, and the Crystal Harmony came out in 1990. And it was, oh my goodness. But Alaska, I'm telling you, it's so sad to hear, that they shut down cruising, or not Alaska, but Canada has shut down cruising, and because of the Jones Act, we can't get any ships there. So it's very unfortunate. But Alaska, I feel so bad for all of our friends up there, all the people who own the stores and the restaurants, because they just 100% depend on tourism, and nobody can get there.
And they've invested so much of their lives and their money, and there's 5 months of the year that they literally make a whole year's salary. And so
absolutely.
Last summer was out, and then this summer. But I know that I just signed a petition there's a petition going around. I posted it on my Facebook. If you're
Yeah.
watching it, please sign it, because they're trying to reverse the Jones Act, or have
Yeah.
some conditions on the Jones Act, because the Jones Act means that legally you can't sail from a US port to a US port without going foreign, whereas geographically Alaska, you have to go to Canada. So,
Right.
and that's why this news about Canada banning cruising for a year is bad for Alaska. So
Oh yeah. So sad to hear.
I think either Canada will come under pressure towards when things, if things are,
Well, hopefully in a few months from now, when a lot more of the population is vaccinated, and I believe all the cruise lines are going to mandate you have to be vaccinated, definitely to work on it, and hopefully to sail on it as well, so that everybody is safe. And then there's a little more protection for everybody who goes into the ports of call, because it's such a massive industry that has completely been set back and stopped and stifled, and we need to get back in service as soon as possible. I mean, first of all, the passengers just cannot wait. I mean, how soon did that World Cruise sell out on Oceania?
Wow. And actually, someone told me that a lot of people, not only did they book that World Cruise on Oceania, they also booked 200 days afterwards. They just, it's like this, there's a new term for it, revenge tourism.
Right.
And it's so pent up, and they're like, get me out of here.
Oh yeah, I'm so lucky, because here I have a motorcycle and I have friends, and I go to see my parents quite often and do a couple of things down there. And my dad and I it's great. So I'm able to get out. It's not like I'm sitting in my house 3, 4, 5 months at a time. Yeah. And it was awesome. Earlier, actually, on the weekend, I went down to San Diego and stayed with my friends from college, Boom and Royal, and it was it was so much fun, because they live in just a house of paradise, a beautiful view, a pool, a hot tub. I mean, it was just fantastic. So, lucky, and everyone's doing the safety and masks and all of that.
Was that the little trunks that you wore?
Oh my goodness. It is so funny what you will do when girls tell you you look good. This was 1986 on the Emerald Seas, and the dancers on that ship were like, you shouldn't wear those giant board short bathing suits. You should wear a Speedo. You'd look great in it. And of course, my priorities at that time are a lot different than they were. So when these girls are like, you look good in that, I'm going, okay. So that was the beginning of the Christmas card photos as well.
Did you
it's
wear
amazing.
that at the weekend?
No. Believe it or not, that wouldn't fit around one leg anymore.
Oh, God.
It was so funny going through these photo albums.
We've covered how you started on ships as a DJ, and we've covered a couple of amazing places that you've gone, and cruise line. Crystal is also dear to my heart. Phenomenal cruise line. And we have lots to talk about, but I just wanted what I love about cruising as well, and people will agree, is just the friends you meet. It doesn't matter if you and I worked on ships, and so you forged some great friendships, but you witness passengers and guests forging these amazing friendships. And a lot of the times they say, we're cruising with our friends. We cruise with them every year. We've cruised with them for 25 years. We met on a cruise ship. We meet every year on a cruise ship. And it's so, so nice. And here's some pictures of you.
Oh, this is fantastic. What a great group of guys. Greg Binkley, Paul Boland, Michael Berger, and myself. And just Michael Berger started out. He went on cruise ships to get some video because he was a tremendous television host for many years, and he's does audience warm up and great guy. And we all know Paul Boland, if you've been on ships, wonderful entertainer, does fantastic singing and. Mimics voices, just funny show. And then Greg Binkley on the far left is a tremendous Barney Fife impersonator. You may remember him from a TV show called Raising Hope. And just wonderful gentleman. And I believe this was at Paul's 50th birthday. Or it could have been a wedding anniversary. I'm not sure. I think we were in Las Vegas when this, but it was just, the friends that you meet on the ships are truly, a lot of them are friends for life. And the best part about friends that you meet on the ships or work with is you can be apart for years and not talk, but when you get back together, it's like 5 minutes has passed. I mean, it's just fantastic.
I know. Speaking of friends, Lucy Cowley is watching. Hi, Lucy.
Lucy, how are you doing? She was fabulous. She was, 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago. And also Chris Jenkins is watching. Hey,
Chris. How you doing, Chris? Oh, that's great. Oh, that's wild.
We'll have to have a reunion or something.
That would be fantastic. I'm going to have another refreshing beverage.
Okay, and then you're going to need to tell us what's going on here as well.
This one's not coming through.
I recognize a lot of faces in this picture.
I'm not getting the picture on my computer. I'm not sure.
So it's Noel Sippers and Jeff and...
Oh, that would have been on the Grandeur of the Seas. I'm gonna turn on my phone and see if I can get the pictures through on there.
That's okay. But I can't remember Tony. It's Tony.
Tony O'Prey?
And Bernard. I remember.
Oh, yeah. I think is Noel and Jeff in there as well?
That's right, Noel and Jeff.
Oh, yeah, that would have been probably the captain's dinner, but it was on the Grandeur of the Seas. And the funny thing with the Grandeur is I worked on that a couple of different times. One was cruise director. The other would have been either assistant cruise director or perhaps shopping lecturer. I'm not 100% sure. But it's such a great ship. But again, all the people that we remember working with, and I dropped Noelle a message on the phone the other day to see if she was available to talk, but she's just, I mean, Jeff, I used to play golf with Jeff when he was cruise director. I would have been shopping director. We played golf in the different ports once in a while. When Noelle was cruise director, Noelle was cruise staff and then assistant cruise director, and then she finally made it to cruise director. One of the first female cruise directors with Royal Caribbean. And I remember I was port and shopping lecturer her very first cruise. And I had this giant Tanzanite necklace from Tanzanite International. And when they used to introduce the cruise staff, so I would come on stage, and Noelle was there, and I go, it's a very, very special day, and I made all this up. And basically I said, is your cruise director, Royal Sippos, come on out here. So she comes on stage. I go, it's her birthday, and all the cruise staff got together, and I gave her this like $10,000 necklace. Of course, and I put it on her, and I start the audience singing happy birthday. And of course, it wasn't her birthday, but it was her first cruise as cruise director. And everybody throughout the entire cruise came up and said, happy birthday, how wonderful that the cruise staff got you that nice little necklace. That is just, I mean, she's wonderful. She's got a great husband. They're in Florida, and then they have another place, I believe, in Canada. It's really nice. Yeah, they got the dogs.
The dogs. I know, and brother and sister, Jeff and Noah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Jeff is now on the radio in South Florida.
He is.
He's like the #1 drive time guy, from what I understand.
Well, I don't know. I live in England.
Yes, where it's cold. What's that?
Maybe we could get Jeff on my show.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, going back to some of these pictures, and I won't touch you anymore, I promise. But look at this picture. Can you see this?
Oh, I can only see the top, but I know that's the Kara Callahan picture, right?
Oh, you guys look so good.
Oh, Kara was wonderful. She is the one that taught me aerobics and taught all of us guys how to do In the Navy and Macho Man and stuff like that for the farewell show. And I believe she was one of the first girls to be the construction worker when we had her in the Macho Man skit. But yeah, this would have been, I think it was 50s and 60s night, because I'm not sure. I think I have that black leather jacket on. And Kara's in the dress with all the slits in it. And that dress, one of them, I believe it was a magician who traveled, carried that dress with him, and he always had one of the female, the dancers or the crew staff, be his assistant. And the whole joke of that dress is if she turns the other way, it's solid. So she would walk out from stage right, so her right side is facing the audience, and that was solid. And then when she would turn to go off, you would see all those openings on the other side, and the audience always went, "Ooh!" She can pull it off, I'm telling you.
Yeah. And back to, friends for life that you meet. This is a great picture.
Oh, this was such a great time. It was, from left to right, it's Philip Levine, Danica Patrick, Hugh Treadwell, Rob McLaren, who got married, myself, and then his wife, and Peter Hoffer. And all of these still friends. The story with Philip Levine is Philip and I worked on the Song of America in 1987 when he was a port and shopping lecturer, and I was just a lowly DJ, but we lived in what was called Hairspray Hallway, because they didn't really have a place for the shopping director, and somehow I was over there, but that was where all the girls from the salon lived. But Philip Levine then went on, quit whatever company he was working for, started his own company called Onboard Media, and then went on to become mayor of Miami Beach.
Yeah. Is he still mayor?
No, he's not. No, his term has ended. I'm not sure if he has any political affiliation at this point. But, I still talk with McLaren a couple of times a year. As a matter of fact, I was supposed to have a contract this year that would have ended in probably September, I believe, and then I was going to, I had my flight scheduled, instead of flying directly home, I was going to fly from Barcelona to Heathrow and then stay with Robert McLaren at the Isle of Wight for a week before I flew home, but unfortunately the pandemic closed that down. But yeah, that was a wonderful, wonderful time at Robert McLaren's wedding.
Well, when you speak to him, you have to tell him I said hello.
I definitely will.
My job.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
He said, okay, obviously it was a very long time ago. So I was a fitness instructor on cruise ships, and then I went home, and he hired my friend called Scott, and then Scott decided not to go, and Robert needed an English person for Carousel, it was called. And so he said to Scott, do you know anyone? And he said, well, ring Melissa. So I met him, I think in Manchester, and he said, what do you know about watches? And I said, nothing. What do you know about jewelry? I said, nothing.
Right.
Okay, well, we can teach you. He says, can you speak? Can you do public? Yeah. I sold a load of stuff when I was with Steiners. So okay, you got the job.
Excellent. Oh, that's great. It's so funny because you learn so much. I knew nothing about watches and jewelry and all of that before I started as a shopping director. As a matter of fact, the first shopping director I worked with was a gentleman named Jeff Parks. You remember Jeff?
I do.
Yeah, he was on, I think, the Song of America. And anyway, at that point, I was buying gold necklaces and bracelets and things like that. But I had no clue. He introduced me to that, took me around to the stores, and then when I became port and shopping lecturer later on, the classes that the jewelry stores would give you to learn about diamonds, about watches, about emeralds, tanzanites, the entire world of luxury jewelry. It's amazing, and it's so, again, just you learn an amazing amount.
Let's talk about all the retailers and the brands and the destinations. So for all this time, and a lot of people, it's devastating what's happened to the cruise ship industry.
Right.
People are home and have had cancelled cruises, and it's like a recurring story each week. The cruise lines keep pushing it back, and people are trying to get out there. But let's not forget all our retailers and brand friends that are in the islands who will still be there. A lot of the independents will still be there. They're just hanging on in there. But this is their livelihood. This is all they know. They're on an island. There's no other industry, and there never will be. This is what they know. When people do go back, people should really go ashore and support the people in the islands, not just the retailers, but also the taxi drivers, the bar
Absolutely.
owners.
Go out, have lunch, get a drink. But people have been going to the islands ever since they started for jewelry. And it's not only the fact that you get a great price, duty free, and all the other savings, but it's the memories that come along with it. I mean, I've said for years, my mom can give you a tour of the world by her jewelry. She'll go, I got this necklace in Aruba, and the people were so friendly. I got this bracelet in Barbados. I got this in Australia. I got this, just on and on and on. So it's really hopeful that once we get cruising back in action, people will get back to doing what they always have done, and that's going out shopping, enjoying, eating, making friends, and traveling the world.
Well, speaking of the world, I would really like to know. Yes, you were. Well, tell us about your time with the World by Residency.
Well, the World is a live-aboard ship. It's where you buy your apartment. It's not a cruise ship. It looks like a cruise ship until you look at the size of the houses or the mansions, whatever you want to call it. On a cruise ship, the smallest cabin's probably 175 square feet. On the World, the smallest apartment you could get was 1,100 square feet. And it's not, a lot of people think it's timeshare, but it's not. You buy this house just like you would buy any other house. The only difference is it's a 50-year lease. When it started, it was a 50-year lease. The 1,100 square foot apartment, when it started, when it came out, was $2.5 million. On top of that was a 5% maintenance fee, which paid for the gas, the fuel, and all of that. So the smallest apartment at $2.5 million, your maintenance fee per year was $125,000, or about $2,000 a week. And is that right? I mean, it's exorbitant. So, and that's the small apartment. And the World, when it travels, it goes to destinations just like the cruise ships, but it goes around the world once a year. And it'll be in every major port that there's a big world event. Like it'll be in Cannes for the film festival. It'll be in Monte Carlo for the Grand Prix. It'll be in Scotland for the British Open. And it generally stays 3 to 5 days, sometimes 10 days. Like when we're for the Olympics, it'll be there for a month. And the ship will turn around because the people live on the World because they want to see the ocean. So if you're in a port more than 3 days, it'll turn the ship. So instead of the port side facing the dock, it'll turn it around so that the starboard side faces the dock, so that everybody has equal opportunity to see the ocean. And it was just spectacular because the people who lived on the World, it was basically one of their vacation houses, one of their multiple houses around the world. They would fly to it and get on and stay for a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. We had one family that stayed there. It was a couple that was divorced, but quite wealthy, and the wife had an apartment, and the husband had an apartment, and the two kids, sweetest little kids you would ever meet, stayed on the ship basically full time, and the parents would come on for 6 or 8 weeks. The wife would come on for 6 or 8 weeks, she would leave, and then the husband would come on for 6 or 8 weeks. And they would each bring a separate person to homeschool the kids. And it was just spectacular. I mean, when we were in Sydney, we backed into the harbor, and the ship has a drop-down back deck called the marina. And attached to the marina is a 2-level restaurant, so you can sit in the marina, look out the back of the ship, and we were right in Sydney Harbor looking at the Opera House. I mean, it was just unbelievable. We stayed there, I believe it was a week, and it was just spectacular. And I'm lucky enough to have met so many people that I had a friend who lived in one of the high-rises really, really close to where the ship docked, and we would I just went over to his place for dinner one night. So it was just fantastic. I mean, the world, it's an incredible second, third, fourth home. And one of the funny stories, we had a gentleman, I won't mention his name, but he bought an apartment on the ship on the starboard side, and it was a good sized apartment. It was $5 million, and he came to me after a couple of days, and I saw him, and I go, "How you doing, mister?" And he goes, "Well, I got to be honest with you. I have a place in Newport Beach on the water. I have a place and he started mentioning, his places on the water. He goes, "I buy a place on a boat, and 2 out of 3 ports, I'm looking at land." And kind of jokingly, I said, "Well, I'm sure there's apartments on the other side. You want me to call the realtor?" Because we had a person on the ship that would sell the apartments. And he said, "Yeah, I think I do." And that afternoon, he went out, bought another apartment on the other side of the ship for another $5 million.
Oh my God.
So no matter where we are, he can wake up looking at water. And not only that, after he'd been there a while, he wanted to differentiate the apartments, and he owns a company, a contracting company. So when we were in his home port, he had his company come down and turn one of his apartments into a log cabin. It was spectacular. This facade was put up on the wall to look like half logs, and a fake fireplace was put in. I mean, everything that needs to be changed in the world has to pass by the SOLAS, Safety of Life at Sea, regulations to make sure it's not a combustible material or whatever else. It was just phenomenal. I really had a great time on the world. It was something that they claim they're going to bring out another ship like that. There was one called the Utopia that only made it a little ways before it stopped. Another company, there was a company called Freedom Ship that wanted to build one long ago. But the world is a very successful venture. The people in it enjoy themselves. And this is not like a cruise ship in the fact that, first of all, I was called the Enrichment Director because I was there to enrich their lives. So they don't want to be associated with cruise ships. The maintenance fee that you pay, the 5% maintenance fee, does not include your food or your drinks. It's like if you live in a high-rise apartment in London or Los Angeles or New York, if you go down to the bottom floor to the restaurants, you're not going to eat there for free either. So it was amazing living on that ship, because the amount of money we had. One guy, oh my goodness, the biggest apartment on the ship, 3,500 square feet, which is about 330 meters, sold for $8 million. That wasn't big enough for him.
Wow.
So he bought the apartment next door, which was another 1,500 square feet, for $3 million. Wow. His total apartment, when he took the wall down and made it one big unit, 5,000 square feet, or about 500 square meters, $11 million. His daily maintenance fee was over $1,500.
Wow.
And this guy was only on the ship the first year for 6 weeks. So the amount of people that have hundreds of millions of dollars is really staggering. It's just unbelievable. But yeah, I had a great time on the world. We went around, went to Australia. I mean, just beautiful places. It was fantastic.
Amazing. How long were you out there for?
I was only in the world for 2 years.
Wow.
And then yeah, it was great.
Around the world.
I did not go around the world. I did all of Australia. This was back in 2002 to 2004, and that's when SARS kicked in. We were in Australia, and we circled Australia, which is a huge place. And when we left for Australia, we were heading over to Thailand. And we were a day or two away when SARS really started getting bad. And they had a meeting and said, why are we taking a ship full of people to a place where people are dying and we don't know why? So they turned the ship around and went back to Australia, because I haven't been to Thailand yet, and that was going to be my first opportunity to get over there, but it was far too dangerous. They made the right decision to turn around. I mean, who's going to complain about going back to Australia?
It was fabulous. I bet. So Steph said, it's so great to hear your stories about the world. We saw the world in Istanbul back in 2009. I was completely fascinated by it. It's mind blowing.
Oh, it is. Yes, it is amazing, Steph.
We'll split an apartment.
Absolutely. There you go. That's a good idea. You can do that. It's they're wonderful. 2-bedroom, 2 baths. How can you go wrong? And they're selling now for more than they were originally, even though it's a 50-year lease. Came out in 2002, so in 52 it would be, the lease is up. But it's really fascinating to pull into port and know you're going to be there for 3, 4, 5 days. You're not in a rush. You're not zipping off to do everything you have to do and running back. Yeah, it's really nice. And they always had shuttle buses for us to take us into town for the guests, the residents, as well as the crew members. It was just treated us very, very well on there.
Amazing. Oh, this has been amazing. Thank you for sharing all your stories with us. But your story is not over yet, is it? Where do you think to go next?
Well, I'm sorry, next? Yeah. My next ship, I don't have a contract yet, but I'm with Silver Sea, and I've been working a lot over in London and Norway. As a matter of fact, I believe it was 3 years ago was my biggest separation from start to finish. I went around Cape Horn in South America, and then I went 150 miles north of the Arctic Circle. And that was all on Silver Sea, and it was just spectacular. Yeah, Cape, Norway, 150 miles above the Arctic Circle.
Wow,
and just spectacular. Yeah. Well, it was wonderful. When I was down in South Africa, I went to a golf course, and I always play up the cruise director thing as it's like a big deal, which it's a wonderful job, I'm telling you that. But I get a hold of the golf course, and I'm like, I'm the cruise director on Silver Sea, and we're going to be in port, blah, blah, blah. Love to come play your course. If you have something that's available, that would be fantastic. And they write me back and say, we have times available for this time. And here's the pricing, and I write back and go, that's wonderful. I look forward to seeing you. And you show up, and they have this sign that says, welcome, Bob Leininger from Silver Sea. And they just make you feel so special. And then on the golf course in South Africa, it was unbelievable, because there's one picture I took on the golf course, and it's like beware of hippopotamus crossing. And these things will just squish you and rush you, and then there's another one where there was an airport landing strip that you had to make sure there wasn't a plane as you crossed, and it was just great. But yeah, I'm supposed to get back to Silver Sea. I'm looking forward for the contract to show up, but it's so good to think that, hopefully by the end of this year, we'll get back to cruising.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And it's so great to hear that you're still going strong. You're a great cruise director. I know we've worked together before, but you just make everything so much fun. It's like not stressful, but it can be stressful, but you sure don't show it.
Well, luckily, there's always a great team. I mean, it's always, I mean, all I do is make sure it goes the way it's supposed to. The people who do the work are the ones who are really to be commended. But when it's a tremendous team with the cruise staff, and even on Silver Sea, with my international hostesses who speak multiple languages, they do a wonderful job. They give language classes on the ship. They do, we don't do a whole lot of activities on Silver Sea because it's a much more port intensive cruise where you're in a port from 8 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, and it's spectacular. But we do have one evening a cruise generally where we move everything up to the pool deck. We'll have dinner on the pool deck, and then the production show will move up onto the pool deck. So it's a beautiful, I mean, when you're sitting in France or anywhere in the world, and you're on top of a ship and you're just looking and you see, these beautiful vistas, and then you have, a wonderful singer giving you a show and tremendous food. It's what it's supposed to be.
Life doesn't get any better than that.
Life does not get any better than that.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming. We've still got more people watching on Facebook. We've got Danielle Topping is watching. Rebecca, my friend Rebecca from Hardins is watching. Hi, Rebecca.
Oh, hello, Rebecca. That's wonderful.
She's watching. Cindy's watching. We have lots of people watching on Facebook. Unfortunately,
excellent. Thank you so much.
But if you're watching this after the fact, then please place some comments because Bob can see them. And one last time, couple of things. People should definitely follow you on your own page.
Definitely.
Director.
Come on over, Big Bob Cruise Director on the Facebook. A lot of the youngsters know how to work that.
And what were you saying about people can get a paperback copy of this?
Oh, if you want a paperback copy of this, just send me a private message or send me an email. My email's my name, bobleininger66@gmail, or you can message me on Facebook, and we'll get one sent out to you. I've got, I'm limited to the amount they can print, so hurry up. It's the history of cruising, and it's my story from start to finish. And I just want to say thank you once again, Melissa, for putting this on. And it's a wonderful series. It's very enjoyable. I really appreciate it.
Well, I enjoy it. We have to keep positive through these times, and I love cruising. I've been doing it for 25 years. So what else am I going to do? So
exactly.
It's such a pleasure when I have wonderful people like you on the show to chat to. And actually, I don't even feel like we're live. I feel like we're just chatting.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I feel sorry for some of the people watching going, are they ever going to get to the point?
No, it's all good. But if you're watching this, thank you so much. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also like and follow me on Cruise Shop Save. And if you want to head over to the website, we're building a website where we're providing free maps and coupons when cruising starts up again.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so you have a good Friday. Your day is just beginning, more or less.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm going to go get a cocktail.
You enjoy a lovely beverage. I'm going to have another beverage myself from the favorite, Carl's Jr.
I hope you're getting paid for that.
No. I'm just begging for sponsors here. I should have a big Home Depot sign over my head.
That sounds good.
All right, Melissa, well, thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and do drop some comments in there. We'd like to hear from you.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.